All right. Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? I realize you can't answer me. Thumbs up. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. All right. People will still be trickling in. That's why we're waiting a little bit. But hi, I'm Austin Trimboli. I will have a excuse me intro section here in a second. But welcome. We are doing Shine Online. Unlock the power of digital marketing for your car wash. I don't think I could have made the title any longer, but I did try. So, all right. A couple things on just what to know. The presentation is going to be about 40 minutes. Then we will have a QA section. As far as how to ask questions, please refer to the chat for instructions, but there is a little questions tab down in the bottom for you to be able to submit that way. So please put questions there, not in the chat. And then as far as post-show recording availability, we will be sending an email out to everyone. And in addition, the recording will be available on our website afterwards. So it will be made easily available. And going into introduction. So I am not going to try and pitch and sell the agency during this presentation, but to know and understand who I am, just want to give a quick introduction to who the agency is, since I do lead that team. The agency at ICS, we are a full service marketing agency. And with that, we cover everything from brand development, website, social media, digital campaigns, print, signage, literally everything. And with that, the one question that comes to me quite a bit is, people don't know if we were acquired or how we came about. And we are completely a part of ICS. We are established in-house and right here in headquarters in Bethlehem, PA, right down the hall from tech support. So that is just a background of the agency and who I am. Just to give some background on me, and I hope you enjoy the picture. I am a big Brawny paper towel fan, so I just had to include this. And so I am Austin Trimboli, marketing manager. My background is in marketing. I have a bachelor's in marketing and then my MBA. I do have experience in various marketing roles before I came to ICS among B2B and B2C sectors. And then I started here at ICS in 2020. And when I came on to ICS, they were already in the prep and research stage of launching the agency. So I came on board and joined in, and then we were able to officially launch the agency in 2021. So with that, that is who the agency is and who I am. And I've enjoyed being here and part of this industry since I've been brought on. So just to give an overview of what we'll be covering today, obviously digital marketing is very broad, and I've narrowed it down to just discuss some main parts and aspects of branding, website, and social media. And keep in mind that everyone in here, there's going to be all different levels of education as far as brand new car wash owners, experienced owners, and I try my best to have a little bit of both as far as for very basic starting level all the way to hopefully some tips for experienced marketing, car wash marketing people themselves. After we go through the main course there, we're going to have a little side of dessert and have some professional tips. And I did have some pre-submitted questions beforehand that I will go over and go ahead and provide answers to. And then lastly, we will open up for questions. And just to go ahead and give a short little tease, we will have one more thing at the very end. So please, after the Q&A, please stay around. One more announcement at the end. So one more thing, and that's all I'm going to say about that one. But yeah, please stick around. So to get started, what we really need to make sure we understand and know is the main goal of what we are going over with the presentation and what I had in mind when I was putting the content together. And that is to demonstrate the importance of a digital presence for your car wash and highlight best practices that you can incorporate. So that is hopefully what you can take away from this. And I'm hoping that you'll stay engaged and we come away with some new knowledge, right? So here's what we are covering for digital marketing. We have branding, website, social media. And the first one up is branding. I did make this awesome logo myself. I am what they call a professional designer. So with branding, The first and foremost, what makes up your brand. And with that is identity, visibility, and credibility. And when we are going over branding, website, social media, and everything, all three of those are kind of at play here. And that's the overall main point of the content being discussed today. And the first step with your branding is what makes your car wash special. At the end of the day, every car wash is going to have the same goal and do the same thing as far as, washing a car. It's up to you how you make your brand elevated. What separates you from that car wash down the street? Are you going to have just a generalized car wash logo and sign, or are you going to set yourself apart and still be known and shown as a car wash with your identity, but something that someone could relate to or want to identify with is kind of the main point here when trying to set up your brand. So the first part of branding is establishing a brand guide. Very often customers, when working with customers, they don't have a brand guide, they don't really have everything together, and that's where the brand guide comes in. And it can be a professional brand guide done by an agency like us, or it can be as simple as a Word document, but something where everything that's established is all together, where you'll have a logo, colors, fonts, your trade character if you have one, and any assets used. And by assets, I refer to what's on the screen there as an example. The background of that, where there's water spots, that counts as like an asset, for example, for someone that wouldn't know. And when it comes to logos, yes, you can have one main logo, but it is recommended to have alternates and primary and secondary in regards to your colors and fonts and all those things. And very often we'll see someone come through, they have their logo and the colors are there, but that logo might not work for a social media profile, for example, because of the way it was tailored and fit. So that's just some other things to keep in mind. With that comes your brand guide. So that's usually the first step I'd recommend. And even if it's very simple, just having all of it together, because if you're not working with an agency that does all your designs, you will be working with different vendors. When you go to work with a different vendor, it's going to be a different designer. And unless you provide them the overall colors and fonts, then they are just going to be trying to hopefully match what they do see and get as close as possible. But if you can have the actual identification for your branding, that would make it even better. And with that leads into one of my most important recommendations coming up here in 1 second. But just to show an example of a more professional brand guide, this is one we did for Ruby Car Wash. As you can see, there are variations to the logo depending on the usage case, and that's part of a brand guide is the usage case, the assets, when to use them, the colors, and everything in between. So the most crucial part of branding from my point of view and my recommendation is consistency. That is the most important aspect, because everywhere your brand is placed, you want it to be consistent. You want it to come off as the same overall feel, and you don't want it to be inconsistent, if they see something on a website versus when they get to the actual car wash. So with that, after you have your brand guide, one of my recommendations is start with your wash menu, specifically the wash packages. And when that design is coming together, that's when your overall feel for your brand will start to come along. And with that, your wash menu, especially those wash packages, are going to be placed in many different areas, from your payment terminal graphics to the graphics that are on your website. And just to point that out, I do suggest making sure the graphics that would be on your website for your wash packages be the same that would be on your payment terminal, for example. A lot of times we'll come across websites and the wash packages aren't designed on a website. They're just there, so you have the options and the info, but it doesn't have the same look and feel. Everything, the point of the consistency is the repetition part. You want to have as much repetition as you can, and to build up, the frequency portion of those things and really layer home the consistency aspect. So an example of showing consistency, just here's a campaign we did for one of our customers. And obviously we have the branding aspect where the ad's the same across the board, but all the way to the payment terminal, the graphics fit with the overall messaging and theme of the promotion we did. So everywhere from the digital ad to the landing page and the pop-up on the website to the graphics on the auto sentry, That's what I mean when I'm saying consistency across the board and connecting all those things together. Okay, and with that, we'll go into website. And my best way to describe website and really harp on the importance of it is it's basically the digital version of your car wash. It's a digital hub, if you will. Everything else is going to flow back to that website. If someone comes across your website, that might be the first time they're interacting with your brand or seeing it. So your website is definitely just as important and probably the most important aspect of digital marketing in my opinion, as far as being established. Because again, when it comes to having the digital presence and being found, everything leads to it, from a Google search to social media to sending people somewhere to make a purchase if you do have an online store. So those are all aspects to the website. And so to really bring home how important and crucial it is, think of it as a digital version of your car wash. And again, a digital hub that connects everything. Before I go on to the next slide, just to throw this out there, please don't have Facebook as your website. Do not have a Facebook business page as your website. Going back to credibility, if you just have Facebook being your primary website, that is not a good look for credibility to an audience. So just throwing that out there now. All right, so the main parts of a website to cover, again, many variations, but what I think is most important just to cover today is SEO. We'll go deeper into that in a second. Mobile friendly, user friendly, and then professional photo and video. So mobile friendly, pretty self-explanatory at this point. Most people do already, make sure it's mobile friendly. The reason I wanted to emphasize that is don't focus only on the mobile friendly side. There are just as many users still, from our research when we're seeing how people are interacting, there's just as many users still using desktop. So I do come across websites at times where the desktop isn't a primary focus and it was all mobile or vice versa. So that's why I wanted to make sure to just call that out. With user friendly, that is in terms of the layout. And what I mean by that is you want to be able to have everyone that goes onto your website and direct them to where you really want them to go as far as information, and you want that to be as easily findable as possible. And that's what I mean by the user-friendly layout. The one thing is usually making sure any contact information is readily available. Most of the time, most people have it in the footer, but some people like to have it as soon as you land on the website. But that's what I'm regarding what I mean by user-friendly. And then professional photo and video, that is stock photos can be used, but I do highly suggest getting a professional shoot done. So you can have drone video is a very hot topic of making sure you have now, but having a professional shoot done so you can have your car wash shown off. Again, going back to the digital car wash aspect, potentially many first-time users or first-time potential customers might only find you via the website if they find you across Google or something. So that's where having images and videos that show off your location and that site really matter at that point. Stock images, we'll touch on that, but the one thing is it's going to be more impactful to show off your wash. Now, if you can't afford to do a professional shoot, then at this point nowadays, using just your phone is usually, good enough. And if you can, I would at least have, high quality images or videos from, your mobile device if you can. And then going all the way back to SEO. So search engine optimization, a little bit of everything feeds into this. So the big thing with your website is having keywords throughout your website to help feed the SEO. The Facebook page or social media in general helps SEO, in addition to Google reviews and some other things that we'll touch on, all help SEO. What the most important aspect to remember with SEO is it all goes together. And so with that, if you have your Facebook page, which we'll go into here in a second when we get on social media, your Facebook page can help your overall SEO, because the more engagement you have on a website or social media, and this is just from an organic aspect, the more engagement you have, the more likely Google is to want to boost your your brand itself when it comes to a Google search, especially, the more reviews you have, the more engaged, all those different aspects play into it. And that's not even using, any paid ads or anything. So that's why with SEO, keywords throughout your website, having Google reviews, and keeping your website active and engaged, just like your social media, all those things feed into the SEO aspect. And then a couple of other things that I always want to recommend having is a landing page and a website pop-up. With a landing page, that is somewhere to send them. So if you are running a promotion or you want to capture information of a contact or user, a landing page is a good place to put the form. So I always recommend a landing page if you're doing a campaign, if it fits and works in that aspect. And then a pop-up is just a direct way to get right in their face and provide the information you're looking to provide, whether it is a promotion or you have a closing for cleaning the car wash that day, whatever it may be. So those are two recommendations, especially if you're doing a campaign, to try and make sure you incorporate in regards to your website. All right, social media. One second. Oh man, you all are talkative bunch here. All right, so social media. To start with, my first and main recommendation is Facebook. That has been the best platform for running digital ads. For the overall car wash audience, Facebook has been the best that we have seen from an interaction standpoint and getting results, whether it be from the actual ad itself or just have engagement even from the organic aspect. That doesn't mean not to use the other channels, and that's why I put Instagram as optional. That is optional only because if you are someone trying to do everything yourself and you can't, get to everything and you just have to choose on what you have time for, that's why I put Instagram as optional. Same thing as the other channels. Obviously, you can have all those and utilize them, but if you have to pick just one, that's why I'm putting Facebook as the best platform and letting you know that's our main recommendation for what we do in regards to making sure you always have. The Facebook part feeds back into the SEO for your website, because if you have a website and then you have a Facebook page all related to your same business, then both of those can be findable on a Google search. And with that comes the credibility portion. If you have a very active Facebook page and it's engaging, as far as having people comment and actually engage with your Facebook business, same thing with your reviews. The more reviews you have, all those things are building the credibility for Google to make sure Google wants to show your business. So then that way you don't have to just constantly be spending, Google, ad spend on Google for Google ads or anything of that nature. There are other ways to go about it. And then as far as Google reviews, which I understand that's not social media, but it made the most sense to just put it here at the moment. For Google reviews, this does play a major portion, and I will go into some tips later on what to do for Google reviews and how to boost that. But again, they do matter, and there are different ways to go about getting them and boosting them. And again, in the professional tips section, I do have some tips related to boosting your Google reviews and what to do. All right, so the big question is organic or paid? And the answer for that is both. And I say that only because you're going to have the most impact if you can work in both assets of it. So when it comes to organic, just to briefly explain that word, that is basically completely free, if you will. So you can set up a Google business page for free, you can get followers and everything for free, and just engage with an audience for free. So organic is the free side, if you will. And then paid is when you're actually running an ad. And I say both because organic content and interaction, everything else would be to an existing audience, and paid would be reaching out to grow and expand that audience. And the side there where I have the geo-targeting equals radius targeting, that is just to show you how the actual targeting part looks on Facebook. And geo-targeting is essentially radius targeting. That also, I went and captured that image. That is how 5 miles looks, just to briefly show that. And I put minimum 5 miles because when you're doing digital ad, and a digital ad, you want to reach as many people as possible, but still be within a driving distance, of course. I say minimum 5 miles only because, and again, this will depend on how much and how big your audience is, but a lot of times, usually 5 miles is at least a good starting point for the size of the audience that it could be. If you're a heavily populated area, like with that one being right outside Phoenix and whatnot, that one, if I can recall correctly, 5 miles was actually a perfect one to go with. But again, it really depends on the audience size that you'll capture. But don't think of it as the same thing as like a direct mailer or whatnot. You want to, expand that as much as possible, because it's going off of, people's phones and those locations. So obviously, if they're driving through there, even if they go back home, think of the community and everything else, all that goes into it. As far as content and what you post, the brief, simple way to say it, compelling, relevant, not too salesy, post multiple times a week, look good, have fun. At the end of the day, the big thing is, people want to interact with a business that they can relate to and a business that is, fun. It doesn't always have to be that way, but, being approachable is one step. And as far as the content, I have seen content where, you can make just a post with words. I don't recommend that. So that's where the compelling or relevant content comes into play, and having the content look good to get interaction, or especially if you're running an ad and not organic, getting someone to actually stop and want to interact with something they see as they're scrolling. As far as posting multiple times a week, I would say at least a minimum of 2 times a week would be what I'd recommend. And then the not too salesy part, that is more towards the organic side. If you're posting content to an existing audience, you don't need to continue to sell to them. That's where, from our results and experience, the constantly having pricing in there when you are posting to an organic audience does not get the best engagement. And the big thing is really upping the engagement with your post overall. So in summary, for digital marketing all together, we have the branding, website, and social media. And for this summary, I just wanted to remind I can't think of another word, so forget it. But anyway, the main thing is consistency for branding, which for that you can develop a brand guide and then use your wash menu as a starting base to start seeing how it really needs to expand out. For website, SEO on the back end of your website can help tremendously. So remember, keywords related to car wash. There's tons of different ways to get keywords and implement that. That's its own different thing, but keywords on your website plays a major part. Then Google reviews and having a highly active and engaged Facebook. So again, that goes back to Google reviews. The more, the better, because that builds credibility for Google to pull and want to push your brand. And then Facebook will only help because you'll have another link for Facebook to pull that's related to your brand and your website for them to build the credibility. And the more active and engaged that is, plays another part in your digital presence. And then as far as social media, utilizing organic and paid would be the best way to maximize those results. You can't expect to just make a Facebook page and just get and have followers that way, unless you're pushing them from print or signage or something. But again, utilizing organic and utilizing the paid aspect. And then for the content that you post, make sure it's relevant, and then make sure it's not too salesy if it is to your existing audience. And then lastly, establish your tone of voice and engage with your audience. That goes to the overall just messaging and how you communicate, and making sure to always engage in a friendly manner with the audience, and try and reply to any comments and every comments you can. And you'll definitely be getting messages and questions and whatnot. So just making sure you're constantly engaged on that aspect. All right. So some professional tips and overall feedback from different things that we see on a daily basis. So the first one is plain stock images. This goes back to the part of having stock images on your website. Again, you can use them, but use them sparingly. I would highly recommend and suggest photos and images or videos of your actual car wash itself. So plain stock images, again, they can be used, but sparingly as far as throughout a website. For content, they can also be used, but it definitely would work better if you can brand around the stock image itself. But just having regular stock images all over your website doesn't really benefit or do any good as far as how your website would look, or building the credibility to an audience or user that's looking at the website. And then The next thing is keep campaigns simple. And that is more or less just not doing too many promotions and incentives at once. You don't want to overwhelm the audience, that you're targeting. The main reason for putting this here is especially more during the holiday season, but if you're running promotions, you don't want to do too many at once because the messaging can get messy. And then if you're running a promotion, you don't want very specific details too often where it's like this at this time, this specific day, things like that. So keep your campaign simple as possible. The most I would do is maybe 2 max if you're going to do a holiday promotion where there are multiple things going on and there are plenty of deals, but it's really just to keep the messaging and everything, as simple as possible so the, audience doesn't get confused or, you and your employees don't get confused. All right. So this goes back to Google, and this slide and the next one goes over what to do and how to boost Google reviews. So the first thing is asking for them and the way to go about that. So if you go on your Google business page, there is a section you can actually go and hit ask for reviews. That will give you a link. The awesome part with that link is the link itself will take whoever clicks on it right to the part where they can go ahead and ask a review. The main thing with that is it streamlines the process. So as long as they're already logged into Google, they will load right up to where they just start the reviewing process. So that's the point of getting that link. And then once you have that link, it can either be used as an example, like Todd's Place there on their website. They have a website pop-up and they direct people to leave a review, and it takes them right there to go ahead and leave a review. So pop-up, and the other one is creating a QR code, and that QR code can be on print or signage. And with that, we go into a tip about QR codes. So the one thing that has happened probably, I know, trial and error, but the one thing is if you get a QR code, and especially once it's printed, if you don't do what we call, and it's called a dynamic QR code, that QR code and that link is stuck the way it is. So the awesome thing is you can do dynamic QR codes, and anywhere that QR code is, you can change the link on the back end, wherever you set it up at any time. So then if something does happen, like the link quits working, because mistakes and anything else can happen, you want to be prepared for that. So that's one of my recommendations, dynamic QR codes, and then knowing when and how to use the QR code. You don't always, I see QR codes being on websites. They can be, they don't have to be, because chances are if they're on the website, they can already access where to leave the review for this example. But yeah, so dynamic QR codes is definitely a good way to go. And just to show how that was used with Todd's Place as well, because they're big on boosting the Google reviews, they did business card handouts and has the scanning portion right there on it to boost leaving a review. All right, so pre-submitted questions, and also I have a couple of frequently asked questions. So that relates to, can Google reviews be deleted? So with that, negative, untruthful reviews are going to happen. There's no way to outright delete a review, but you can report a review, and if it goes against Google policy and that's approved, then it will be removed. Unfortunately, the bad reviews that will happen and the actually going against policy isn't too common, but again, that is one way to at least try and get it removed. Other ways to go about it, again, is just boosting your Google reviews and getting more and more, and then always reply to a review, even if it's good or bad, especially if it's bad, but always reply to any review you get. Another is about those other channels I mentioned. Should you be using TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat? The overall car wash audience, for what we see when it comes to engagement, again, you don't have to not use these channels, but for our recommendation, especially when it comes to applying resources and time and effort, those channels don't seem to be the most viable. So again, it doesn't hurt to have them if you especially want to incorporate them. But if you are looking at weighing your options on what you can focus on and whatnot, that's where it goes back to focusing on Facebook and or Instagram. And then lastly, no more traditional marketing. A lot of times I'll have people come to me and everything's about digital marketing. That's what they finally want to just incorporate and do. And a lot of times they'll quit thinking about the traditional side of things when it comes to marketing with print. Signage, usually they're okay with that, but it's more towards the print, especially mailers. The one thing I would recommend, especially if you still do mailers or anything like that, because we still do them regularly, is incorporating those alongside the digital ad. They work hand in hand and can help both sides of it, the digital ad and the actual mailer, because then it goes into the frequency aspect of things. It's all about repetition and seeing that as much as possible, especially if the branding is the same across, both channels. All right, so a couple of the pre-submitted questions. Are there ways to market to people once at the pay station? Yes, a couple of the ways, at least for my recommendation and what we do, there are 2 different video types you can do. There's more, but the 2 I'm going to mention. Custom advertise, that is a video that will play at the payment terminal. As soon as someone rolls up to the payment terminal, the video will start playing. So that can be just an informational video, or if you actually run a promotion, that is one that can be utilized. Another is a club purchase video, which would play only to non-club members, and that would obviously be tailored towards getting people into your club, which I'd recommend, having that on. It doesn't hurt by any means, and especially if you're running a promotion for clubs. And then this question here, we have multiple Facebook pages for our locations. Should we have different strategies for each? So without having more detail, and if you need a follow-up on this, more than happy to follow up with who submitted this. Just to give an overall answer of how Facebook should be set up or ran, there should be a main overall Facebook page. I would not recommend having, separate main Facebook pages, but dedicated for a different location. Now, obviously, if they're different brands, then that's a whole nother story. But as far as having your car wash brand, if you have multiple locations, you should just have one main Facebook page. I would not have a separate one for each. Now, you can set up Facebook location pages and then have them linked and sent with the main overall Facebook page or business profile. But as far as the strategies for each one, that also would pertain to how spread out the locations are and if each one has different services. But again, if you're the same brand, you should be able to just post on your main Facebook page and push those services related to what's in that area, especially if it is going to be a digital ad. You can obviously tailor that to only be shown in a specific area as far as that radius aspect goes. So this one really, hopefully that gives a good idea of an answer, but with more details, again, follow up. More than happy to give more answers on that. But just as a general rule of thumb for everyone, have your main Facebook business page. Don't do separate Facebook business pages per location. It gets messy and it doesn't really help you as much in the long run. And then these 2 kind of go hand in hand. Best practices for club sales and growth, and best ways of marketing monthly clubs. So just to give an overall answer on this and give a common theme that I've been seeing as far as the type of club promotions that have been quite popular lately. A lot of places are starting to do the first month for any club is $10. I've seen that done quite a bit. The other one, if you want to be more aggressive, is the first 3 months for $10. So those are the most common that I'm starting to see. My personal preference is BOGO on the clubs. So you get them to pay full price, get that second month free. One of my recommendations for what not to do, do not make your first month too low of a price. Don't do $1 for the first month. That's why also when it comes to BOGO, I wouldn't recommend having that first month be too low. I think the $10 mark, depending on obviously the amount of the discount that is a good setting point as far as how low it should go. But I wouldn't have that first month be too low because that's going to lead to higher churn. So I would not do anything too crazy just to get people into the club. You want to get them in there and get them to stay. From what we've seen when it comes to the BOGO practice of doing that type of promotion, you'll get them to pay regular price. They're going to get that second month free, and then hopefully they'll be okay paying that third month at regular price. But there's a higher chance of that than getting a potential customer that is always looking for a deal. So they're going to come in at that low price and then drop off immediately. So that's my recommendation on best practices as far as running promotions towards selling clubs and whatnot. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up for questions. Again, there is a tab in the corner there for questions. So please put them there and not in the chat. I will go ahead and open that up. 1 second. Okay, so first one here. Does ICS agency digital marketing include Instagram? Yes. So when we go to set up a program with a customer, we would set up with you what you want to have us handle and do for you. So with that, if you want to have Instagram with Facebook, usually they go hand in hand. So yeah, we can definitely do that and include it. So that's no problem. Can you tell me the difference between what the agency can offer versus Slam marketing and pricing? Well, pricing, I'll go ahead and tell you that. More than happy to get a proposal together for you that is definitely usually custom based on a customer's needs and what we need to get within their budget of reason. So that's how the pricing works. More than happy to set up a call for that. As far as differences, um, I mean, they're also a full service agency. I don't want to shy away from the question by any means. From what I know of Slam, they were previously, their main focus was video and photography, and that's what their repertoire was in addition to everything else. So they do great work on that. As far as the differences, I mean, I guess it would depend on, are you an ICS customer? If you're ICS, then we're going to be more integrated with ICS. Slam's obviously Sunny's. So, I mean, that's really the major difference. So that's, the main answer I'd give for that one, which again, happy to set up a call and we can go over what, if someone works with them now, what they're doing versus, what you want to be doing. But I would say the main difference is going to be if you're ICS, it might be a little bit more beneficial to be with someone who is a part of ICS and knows the products better. All right, 1 second. How can I use data and analytics to measure the success of marketing and make informed decisions? Great question. So when it comes to data, obviously when you're going to run a campaign, for example, we'll do a campaign and obviously you need to know your goals for that campaign. So if you're going to do, try and grow your clubs, you'd want to look at club sales as far as the goal for that. I mean, there's a lot of different things to go in that. So I apologize, Ivan. More than happy to discuss more with you on the phone and go in more detail. But as far as how to measure the data and analytics, it really varies depending on what you're trying to do and go from there. I don't want to, again, just give a terrible answer, but I also want it to be the best answer for you. So with that, it really just varies on what you're trying to do. And then what you want to take away from that. But definitely more than happy to do a call with you, Ivan. And then what are the most effective marketing strategies for attracting new customers? What are some creative ways to offer promotions, discounts to drive sales and loyalty? So one thing, if you want to do retail, one of the promotions that we do that sees a pretty good boost when it is done properly is doing BOGO on your single washes, especially pushing that towards the single washes you want them to get, which is usually going to be your top or your top 2 washes, depending on how many you have. If you set it up through our payment terminal, then if they come through, redeem or purchase that single wash, once it's set up on the receipt, they will get a promotional one-time code for a free wash is how it would be set up. So that's one where if you want to boost retail sales, that's one I'd recommend. So BOGO for your top washes or top wash, whatever one you're trying to really get them to, because you will see a spike in people getting that wash, but you don't always have that many people coming to redeem the free wash portion. So you get a bump regardless. And then, sorry, there's more to that. Effective marketing strategies, track new customers. Yeah. So I don't want to keep, again, it's broad, so I apologize. But more than happy to jump on a call with you, Ivan, so we can discuss, everything that you're trying to do and see all the different ways. But again, when you connect everything and keep it all together, such as your website having the same branding, again, the main thing is keeping that consistency across all channels. So every time they do see it, whether it is digital, whether it is signage or print, then they're going to know what they're looking for and remember it in repetition. So that is the main way it goes. Let's see. No other questions at the moment. Anything else in chat? There's more questions? Oh, they come in at the top. Is that what you're telling me? Oh, my bad. My bad. All right. Sorry. 1 second, guys. We currently have multiple Facebook pages. Okay, so someone was asking about having the multiple Facebook pages for each of their sites. I would assume that means you have the different locations per. When you go to combine them, I can't quite remember off top if you automatically or you lose them or not. I know you can use one of those locations and can be set as the main primary Facebook page. And then the other ones can be set as locations. I will get a better answer for you. I don't want to give you a wrong answer off top and not be sure. So let me run that by our digital marketing specialist just to make sure, because again, I can have an idea of it, but I don't want to give you incorrect info. So, Butch, I will give you a direct answer. I'll email you with that just so you can have an idea on combining the Facebook locations and what to expect. I'll give you a more detailed answer directly. Are there different preset marketing packages available I can be seen somewhere? Let's see, Mike, are there different preset marketing packages available that can be seen somewhere as to what they include and or pricing? Is everything tailored to each individual customer? Yeah, so what I can do, Mike, if you want it specifically or I can send to everyone, I can give you an overview of basically a slide deck that goes over all of our services with examples, and it does have our programs as far as how they're laid out. As far as pricing, again, that goes towards what main services you're looking to do, because even though we have preset programs, doesn't mean you have to use or get everything in that program. That's why it's usually best to have a conversation, see what your main needs are, what marketing budget you're trying to work with, and then we try and get the most important essential things to fit within that the best that we can. But there are program layouts that I can send you, so I can make sure to do that, Mike. Do you provide graphics for marketing and flexes? Semi-broad, but do you provide graphics for marketing and flexes? So yeah, we provide graphics. And yeah, we make the graphics for all the payment terminals. So we work with our graphics team. The whole marketing department is essentially part of the agency as well. We all work hand in hand here when it comes to videos for your payment terminal or graphics for your payment terminal. So I usually will communicate with the rest of the marketing team on what's needed for an agency customer when it comes to getting those things set up. So that is, hopefully that answers that question. I apologize, Tom. If you need a follow-up on that, more than happy to understand that question better. Okay, sorry, 1 second. Joel, I was told, sorry, I'll come back to Tony. I was told my ICS customer service that their system does not have the capability of doing a BOGO automatically. So that would depend on your setup possibly, but for the most part, if it's an AS3, AS7 and whatnot, the BOGO should be able to be set up with your POU. I can talk with tech support specifically and see what your setup is and see if maybe it doesn't work. But for the most part, when it comes to having the AS3, AS7, the BOGO should work because you just have your POUs there. And as long as they purchase that POU that has it set up properly, then the receipt would print the promo code on it. So again, I can follow up everyone that asks questions. I can follow up with you all specifically just to make sure I answered appropriately and give you the best answer I can. Tony, let's see, with your app out in the market, will people still buy gift cards at the terminal, or will gift cards drop off and move to e-gift cards? Good question. So that one kind of goes both ways. The way I think of that is the more channels and options a customer has to purchase, the better. It doesn't necessarily matter which way. If you still sell them on site, of course, then that's great. A lot of places, once you can sell online, will move to e-gift cards just because that's less less hassle for you to worry about, but obviously still sell them in person. So that one, I mean, you might see a drop off, but again, that also depends on how much you push it. If you are doing online sales and everything's, directing people to buy an e-gift card versus not really promoting the physical gift cards, that could play a part of it, but it really depends on how you want to promote or market that. Let's see. Will ICS be launching an app anytime soon? ICS has an app. It is the Wash Now app. You can find that, it's readily available. And then there's a custom version of that. So there's already an app on the market. Hopefully that's what answers that one. But again, I will follow up with each of you as well directly and make sure that you get the answers you need. Tom, when will ICS have BOGO using LPR? Tom, I will follow up with you on that so I can understand that a little bit better, just to make sure I'm understanding what you're trying to ask as far as that goes. Can you set an expiration date on BOGO? Can you buy two, get one? Dennis, so can you set an expiration date on a BOGO? Yes, just with pretty much just like with any promotional code you set up, you can set up a expirational date. I apologize. There's a couple different ways to take that. If you mean expiration date as far as how long they have to redeem, yes, you can set that. Also, as far as the actual promotion being set up, obviously when you set up a promotion with the PLU, the discount or whatever it may be, that can also have an expiration as well. Can you do a buy two, get one? Good question. I will have to look into that and I can give a better answer just to confirm, but I have personally not ran that for any of our campaigns. And from what I know, this is just from what I know, there's not normally a buy two, get one as far as like at the terminal. So as far as how that would work and everything else, I'll have to get a better answer and work with tech support on that. So again, I will follow up with each of you individually. Whatever email you signed up with, I will email you all just to make sure I address your questions accordingly. Okay. Any other questions before? Just so you know, there is one more thing I would like to let everyone know about, but we still have time for more questions if anyone wants to submit any more. But if no more come through, I will go ahead and move on. So I'll give it just one more second in case anyone else wants to throw in some questions, but and then if not, then we'll go to the last one more thing. Okay. All right. So with that, again, if there are any more questions, I will. How do I join into Wash Now app? So with the Wash Now app, the way it works is any customer who's set up on there, you'd have to pick the location of the car wash you are trying to work it with and use it with. Once you find the car wash within that location on the app, then you can join it that way. I'll work with you more directly if you want, so we can set up a different meeting and go over any and everything. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, on the Wash Now app, that has multiple car washes on there, and you find the car wash that you are looking to use, and then you go in through that way. Okay, so one more thing, and there were two pre-submitted questions I left out, and they kind of went together. Both related to ePOS online stores, but how to integrate our website with Wash Connect for customers who sign up for membership, change vehicle info. And my personal favorite question, when will ePOS be more customer friendly? Great question. I too agree. So with that, I am very happy to let you all know, give an official announcement and just a tease of what is coming very soon. I wanted to, anyone here, it makes sense that you all might be interested in a brand new online store. And what we will be having coming very soon is more information on the brand new online store, how it can be pre-ordered, everything else. There will be an announcement for that going out. And I do emphasize very soon, there will be an email going out. So I'll make sure everyone on here gets that email. It will have more information related to it. But I just wanted to go ahead and get the word out that there's a brand new online store interface coming. It will be we're rebranding the Wash Now altogether, and it is a completely new online store experience for you. So just wanted to go ahead and let everyone in on that. Again, there will be an announcement coming soon via email. So we'll be getting that out, and that will have more information about that. But I just thought it would be good to let you all know about it. So again, I want to thank everyone for joining me, waiting till the end, listening to me. Hopefully, everyone has something to take away from here that can be helpful. Again, I will follow up with anyone who asks a question. I will follow up with you directly. I'll send out an email so we can either get a call scheduled or see, if I answered appropriately or accordingly to what you were trying to convey in your message. So with that, I want to just thank everyone again for coming, and I hope everyone has a great day. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much.